What's up, boys and girls? Welcome back to the vlog. Today we're going to be working on our transmission mount and plating the underside of our unibody chassis to accept the transmission mount that we're going to be bolting to it, because a unibody is not strong enough to just run some bolts through to hang a transmission. I got 3 of our plates in place. We've got a 4th one to build for the bottom of the box here. And then we'll recreate what we've built here over here on this side. And then we can drill holes in it, nut insert it, so that we can build our transmission mount that'll bolt directly into this structurized plate. It's amazing how much you can already hear the difference in the chassis just from tack welding this in place. We're gonna add one more piece and it should be solid. Well, it's been a long and productive day. We got ourselves a bunch of plates in. We're starting to do some gusseting here on the back side of these plates, so that we've got a nice strong place for the transmission mount to hold on to. And we've got the JSP fab transmission mount cut back to pretty much just a bare plate. So once these are done with gusseting, we will figure out how we're gonna fasten them to the chassis. And for now, that's just tacked into place and we'll get finished welded later. I also started gusseting the motor mount plates, so these will be nice and strong, so these won't be flapping in the breeze, so to speak. This is how they looked before. It was just a 3/16 inch plate that's welded onto the K-member. Now we've got 3/16 inch triangulated gussets. So that should be nice and sturdy and shouldn't allow those to move in any way, shape, or form. Ricky and I are gonna call it a night. He's gotta go off to work. I gotta go home and be with my family.
The next day.
I am here with Mickey working on the freak. Is it freak or frick?
The freak!
The freak!
The freak!
I don't know, I'm Puerto Rican, well, name it up. I am going to continue to work on these end plates for the transmission mount. I just finished doing this last night. And this morning, I am going to continue to do the same thing. I'm going to grab a piece of cardboard, I'm going to make a template, which this is completely off. So I'm going to start doing that now. Alright guys, the end plates on the transmission tunnel where the mount's gonna go to, that's done. Mick right now just finished marking the transmission mount. What do you call that, walls? Or
yeah, basically the structure of the transmission mount. So the front one's a little longer than the back one. We've used 1/8 inch steel stock, stainless steel stock here, and essentially this goes under the car like that, and we'll do some nice shaping on the ends here so they're not just 90 degrees, so it looks nice and smooth under the car. I'm going to go ahead and toss some end plates down on the ends here and here, and yeah, transmission mount, boom.
Send it. Want to show them what you got there? Bam.
Yeah, so this is like the rudimentary version of our transmission mount. As you can see, I've got some lines on here. We're gonna go ahead and knock those corners off and sort of shape this so it looks a little more sexy. Not that anybody's ever gonna see it, but it is good and sound. And so knock these corners off, poke a couple holes in it, maybe run a grinder through it real quick just to clean everything up, and she's ready to be bolted in the car. So there's our bracket, guys. Just went ahead and radius some of these, put a flat on the center of both of these so that it has some symmetry, and ground down these evenly. So we'll hang this underneath the car. It looks pretty cool.
Let's do it after we drill holes.
Oh yeah, we have to drill holes first. Ricky's fitting up the mount, which is looking pretty nice. Yeah. I do say so myself.
You did a good job, buddy.
We did a good job.
Good job. Really good job.
Now that the holes are drilled in the plates, we can actually drill the holes in the chassis and put basically our nutserts. We're not really using like expandable nutserts. We're just gonna drill holes, insert an M8 nut and weld it in. This will be a nice buff setup. Again, we did pair this with the factory S2000 mounts. So they are rubber and they match the similar rubber that is on the, these are AE86 Corolla mounts. So the nice thing is these are factory mounts. So if at any point in time we want to update these, we can just order a urethane type mount from an aftermarket manufacturer that makes Corolla or S2000 mounts. This is a tried and true setup. I did use this same exact motor mount configuration in my Corolla AE86 that I had an F20 in. We'll catch you guys up here in a second once we get these holes drilled and we open them up, and we'll drill in our nutserts.
So if you see right now, then we just grabbed some nuts.
These nuts.
And we just put them in the floorboard and we welded all the way around it. We did that 4 times, 2 for this side, 2 for the other side. And then on the bottom of the car, so once we finished welding on top, all we did is we just put washers and 2 M10s 125 bolts right through there.
And I don't want this to be the lowest point of the car. It would be really cool to flat panel this underneath here once it's all said and done. So if we just trim these flanges back 1/8 of an inch or so, flat.
Yep. Boom.
All right, well, now that the engine and transmission are hanging on their own mounts, and we're super happy to have somewhat completed that portion of the project. We're gonna now move on and focus on the firewall because we have to hang our clutch and brake pedal. I know you guys saw these Wooohoooo hanging pedals previously in the unboxing video. They're a pretty trick unit. Basically, it's a dual master. So there's 3 master cylinders. There's a dual on the brake pedal and a master cylinder on the clutch pedal. And I saw a few comments in a previous video where we unboxed these. You guys didn't understand that this is the clutch and the brake pedal. There will be a gas pedal. You actually retain your factory gas pedal or change it out for something cooler or whatever. Like I could get a Type R pedal or an RSX pedal or whatever I want and put it in here. And I showed you guys in the previous video the cool little Wooohoooo box that goes this bolt into, and it looks like this. So it already has all the holes pre-drilled. It has its own retaining collar here. We thought about just mounting this directly in the firewall. We've got this big round hole in the firewall. This could theoretically fit in here. I'm not sure I like that. So you guys saw my marker lines. That's sort of where I want to cut it out and weld in our own material and then mount this to that. I think it'll make a much cleaner look and give this a nice flat place to mount it. And then on the other side, we were thinking about carrying that theme over into this area here. We might just plate that little weird area too and flatten that out. Then we'll just make our own holes to pass all that stuff through the firewall. It's a lot of fab.
That's it.
And it's also a lot of talking. And I see a lot of comments that say we talk too much, but
Who's talking now?
I am. But if I don't explain, you guys don't know what we're doing. So we have to talk a little bit so you guys can get the idea of what we're trying to accomplish.
Give me the camera.
I'm gonna punch you in the head. we're gonna take one step back. Ricky and I decided that cutting this whole section out is probably creating more work than necessary. And there's some vital things back here on the inside of the firewall that we need to retain. Stud that mounts the gas pedal and some other double wall stuff, but we're gonna be putting in a thick gauge steel, so I don't think it's gonna be an issue. What we're doing is we're utilizing the Wooohoooo plate, putting it on here where our box is gonna be mounted. We leveled this out, and it actually does fit inside the circle. So we're just gonna cut out what we need back here, then we're gonna plate this and we'll clean it all up. And what it's gonna do is just create a nice flat area right here. Everything else will be left alone. Should be pretty easy.
A little later.
All right, well, I've gone ahead and cleaned up the firewall quite a bit. I actually opened the hole up a little bit more and just sort of made it a little more symmetrical. And I went ahead and made a template that's gonna fit, actually goes like this, inside that hole right there, so that we can make a patch panel that's gonna sit in there and will allow us to mount the pedal box. Traced it out on some decently thick sheet metal. I'm not sure what gauge this is, but it's pretty solid stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and trim it out. I have a shear here that we got from Eastwood. It's a really nice part, but this metal is a little bit too thick for it, and it struggles a little bit and it creates a warp in the metal, so I don't want to use that. I'm actually using our bandsaw here. This is like a portable bandsaw. I'm using this to rough the shape in, and then I'll use my 3M angle grinder to basically make the shape nice and smooth and flowy, and we should be able to tack this in and start getting an idea of where that pedal assembly is going to sit. All right, now we have the shape roughed in. I'm gonna go grab my 3M Whizzy wheel, I call it, angle grinder, with probably like a 50 grit disc on it. And just go ahead and clean up this edge so it's not really sharp. Ricky just tacked the plate into place and it looks nice. It's nice and flat. Gives us a really good surface to mount this Wooohoooo box. So now that this is in place, we have a nice spot to locate this guy. But we need to get this thing ready, get all the parts that we tacked together off the car. So we're gonna do a big disassembly right now, get all the parts on the table so when Eric gets here in the morning, we can just start burning welds in and strategizing a couple other things.
So right now we just took out the subframe, we took out the power steering rack, everything's been taken out and we completely unbolted it off the chassis. You guys can see we just separated the engine to the car. So tomorrow we'll wait on Eric to come down and finish welding everything that we just took out.
The next day.
We got the engine back out of the car and we started doing some more work on the firewall and up here on the strut tops. I'll bring you guys more info on the strut tops in a little bit, but those are our parts from ODB Welding Works. And these are extensions so that when you run the car low, you don't have contact with your upper control arm. I have not done this side yet. I'll show you guys the process of actually doing this. It's something I wish I would have done on my EG, but hindsight is 2020. I run that car pretty low and I've now cracked the strut tower because of the upper control arm contacting it. I'm gonna go ahead and toss these in. OBD Welding Works makes a great product. You can order those through Downstar Hardware. They do sell those, or you can hit them up on the DM by following them down below. I have a special guest with me today. Eric is here from Ilk Fab, and he is burning in all the parts that Ricky and I have been tacking together over the last few days. What's up, Eric? Say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody. Happy New Year.
So he's gone ahead, already welded this one in. And Eric did not do any of the TIG welding. He wants us to be very clear about that. Ricky and I made those ugly welds. Eric is now going back and making them look pretty. So what we're gonna do today is actually get all this stuff back in the car. So these are both the mounts. This is our transmission mount, and we also have our K-member down here on the floor, which Eric will be finished welding the rest of that where we put the new mount provisions on. I did see in the comment section that a lot of you guys were really concerned about the angle we put on the engine mounts. Don't worry, guys. The fish mouth that we put on the thing and the angle and everything, it all works. We took the engine in and out last night, as you can see here. Everything works just fine. So I know when you're at home watching on your computer, you get these ideas of, oh, well, that's not gonna work, or oh, you should have done this or that. It's really easy to do when you're sitting at home. We're here in front of the car. We're test fitting things left and right. Just because you guys don't see it on camera doesn't mean we're not doing it or we're not putting the thought into it. We appreciate the feedback and we welcome it. I just want to be clear that all of that stuff works. So no sweat. We got this, boys. Right there, we got this.
I seen it.
Alright guys, well that is how you mount the OBD Welding Works strut tops. Basically just cut out a hole the size of your thing, make sure you measure so they match from left to right. This now needs to be finish welded, but while Eric's here, I think I'm gonna have him do that for us. What I need to do is go up underneath the wheel well and clean out all the rubberized undercoating that's on the bottom, because that will prohibit us from making a nice clean weld up top. That's the goal and intent, and we're gonna keep moving on here. Has spent the last couple hours burning away on the welds, and I went ahead and slapped our K-member back in the car. Everything's all TIG welded up, finish welded, looking good. The hockey pucks have now been removed from the K-member and the bottom oil pan, so it's now hanging under its own power here, or under its own weight I should say. And we did get about a 1/4 inch of droop, which is what we were expecting and anticipating as per John over at JSP Fab. He let us know that the 86 mounts do sag a little bit once you put all the weight on them, which is normal. We actually raised up the engine about 3/16. Once we took the blocks out of the underneath the oil pan and between the K-member, it would sag to about where we wanted it. And now Eric is burning in our floor pan reinforcement now, and we're gonna bolt the transmission mount in, which has also been finished welded. So here is this. It's got some nice color in it, but all welded up, ready to go back on the car. All right, well now that the transmission mount is done and mounted, all the finished welding is also done. Huge shout out to Ilk Fab for coming over and doing that for us on a holiday. And now we're actually gonna throw the wheels on and get this thing on the ground because we haven't seen it on the ground since basically before we started the project. And I think now that it can actually roll on its own and it has steering and everything, we should put it outside, see what it looks like. Alright guys, so here it is outside in the sunlight. I haven't seen it out here since I got the car basically. It's been on the rack ever since. I went ahead and just tossed the headlights in temporarily just to kind of see what it looks like buttoned up. It looks like a Civic. I'm not that surprised to be honest, but what's really cool is seeing this out in the sun, seeing everything, all the hard work that Ricky and myself and the guys have put in. It's kind of a milestone, so it's kind of cool to put it out here. We'll go ahead and put it back in and keep cranking away, but it's rolling under its own power. And now we're gonna move on to finishing up the pedal assembly and a bunch of the other fab work in here, and then it's gonna go off the roll cage. All right guys, well I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in today. We'll see you in the next one where we'll be doing a heap of fab work.